So I ended up getting expelled from school because of that, because it was on grounds because I couldn't bear to do that at home, to do that to my mom. She wouldn't be able to live with herself. Yeah, and it's ironic that there's some kind of guilt that comes behind those suicidal thoughts. Like,
But did
wow,
you hear what you just said?
This is so much, but
I want you to hear what you said. I wanted to do it at school. I couldn't do it at home because my mom couldn't live with herself. And this is the way we think. As if you did it at home,
it would make it any better.
Like doing it at school was going to ease her pain any. But it's the ration of control in getting to say where, when. But the other thing is, even in our pain, in our darkest hour, we're always putting someone before us. It was your mom wouldn't have to clean it up. Your mom wouldn't have to find you. And she can still live there, not thinking this is where this happened.
That's what it was.
But even in the darkest hour, we are thinking, I don't want to be here, but let me make it easy for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You see? But it's always, it's selfish. When you hear someone has committed suicide, you hear all the, oh my God, that's so selfish. And maybe it is, but you don't know the pain that's coming with that. You don't know the story behind it. And no, it's not an excuse to say that's okay. But even, like, if you really think about that, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to end my life. I want to end this pain. But before I go, my last act is to make sure I'm taking care of Mom. That in itself is that's the height of someone who is so dark and desperate to stop pain, but even in pain, always helping someone else, always. So I just wanted you to hear that again.
It's one thing to think it. It's another to hear it out loud, presented to you. At the end of the day, the school failed me. I remember going to my guidance counselor, a couple times, different guidance counselors. I remember one of them said to me, because someone was making rumors about me, really got to me. 14, rumors get to everybody. And his response was, rumors are like feathers in a pillow. When you rip it open into the wind, they float off into the air, and you can't do anything about it. So just live with it. Even though we had the person in front of us who confessed to making those, right? And he said, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it." Even like all the bullying that was going on from like kids on the football team and everything, everything that happened there. I went to the school about it, and my principal's response was, well, we asked them and they said it didn't happen. Of course they said it didn't happen.
That's what's easier to deal with. It's easier to deal with somebody saying, I didn't say that. Because then it's like, we don't have to do any more follow-up.
Absolutely.
They didn't say it.
And they took the issue and they swept it right under the rug.
And now you're left to deal with your stuff by yourself.
After that happened, I ended up in a psychiatric unit, out of state, for 2 weeks. And, that was weird. Being on a floor with a bunch of other kids my age, walking around in scrubs, and having to do like vital checks with everybody twice a day, and being in these weird classes with everybody. But at the same time, there I remember coming out to some of the nurses and the doctor there, and she was able to help me come up with a plan for coming out to my parents. It didn't go over well. My doctor came out on my behalf the first time. My parents were there visiting. She asked me, she said, do you want to be in the room? And I was so scared. I said, no, I don't want to be in there. And the next time around, my dad was like, what the hell? are you just jealous of your sister? What's going on? You're a good-looking kid. Why do you want to be a girl? It doesn't make sense. It's like, no, I don't want to be a girl. I don't want to be trans. I hate being trans. It's such a burden on my life. It's something that I've come to learn to, acknowledge and
educate me on that, because I heard you say it, and now I'm stuck. So let me repeat what I heard. You're a trans woman. And is that then and now? Do you still feel that way? Let me tell you why I'm asking.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a response to that.
So with pride and the pride community, I'm thinking you're free to be who you are. So for me, it, like, if I dissect like everything you went through, and now this is who you are by choice, and you can speak and be who you want to be, who you've always felt you were, explain to me, how could you hate it? Because when you were male, you didn't feel like yourself.
I think I hate it because of all the unnecessary struggle that came with it, everything that led up to it. When I came out to, my mom the first time, over 11 years ago now, if something were to happen then, if she were to push me through to talking about it more, talking to my dad about it, then finding a therapist or someone to talk to, someone who's specialized in that, even myself getting out of that scared moment and speaking for myself and learning how to, my life could have been completely different. But instead, I had to go through all that struggle to finally make that choice for myself to say enough is enough. And by the time I did start transitioning, I was 21. There's so many things I needed to reverse for myself. Going back on, trying to get acceptance from dad and everything. I played football. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to architecture school. I didn't have the grades for it because I was so depressed and anxious during high school. Like I couldn't read. I was at high reading levels throughout my time growing up, but as soon as high school hit, I couldn't concentrate.
So much other stuff.
There was so much anxiety building up in me. I couldn't read a book. I'd read a page and then read the page and then read the page, and an hour would pass. I'd be stuck on the same page because I'm so stuck in my head. And it just I fell behind in like my social studies and English classes. Math and science I did okay because I was so in touch with it. Even at my new high school, we had an architectural design class. I fell in love with it. I did so well in it, and I said, "This is what I want to do.
This is it."
So I did my math classes and my STEM classes, and that's what I wanted to do. But I couldn't get into architecture school because I didn't have the English grades. Because I fell behind because I couldn't concentrate on the books. So I was at a standstill. So I enlisted in the military. One, that's what my dad wanted me to do. That's what Dad wanted me to do. I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Dad's going to be real proud of me. And also, I wanted to take advantage of the GI Bill. They'd be able to pay for school. But I respect the military because I come from a long bloodline with military values in my family. But I enlisted in the military for the wrong reasons, and it caught up with me. I had those anxiety issues that were not addressed. And they caught up with me when I was in boot camp. After about a month there, it really caught up because I'm dealing with anxiety. I was really depressed. I was down there for the wrong reasons. Plus, I'm starting to make some unchangeable changes to my body. And it all caught up. So all of that anxiety built up while I was at boot camp, and I broke down. You know, with boot camp with the Marine Corps, their job is to break you down.
Mm-hmm.
They weed out the weak from the strong, and I fit in with the weak. There were some traumatic things there that happened to me that some could consider traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
others not. If you think old style Marine Corps, have you ever seen Full Metal Jacket?
Mm-hmm.
Like the beginning? That's what it was like. I was in 3rd Battalion, Lima Company, in Paris Island, and that's exactly what it was like. And between everything else and those things happening, I lost it. And I told my drill instructor, like, I don't feel good. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. I think I want to kill myself. If I have to stay here, I probably will lose control and that will happen. So I, in the middle of the night, was put into a truck, told to keep my head down between my knees, and I was brought to an off-base hospital. And I was put in there. I was just there overnight in the ER. And I remember I was sleeping, and a nurse came in and woke me up, and I remember screaming, "Get away from me, get away from me, get away from me," because I thought I was one of my drill instructors. I sat there in a psychiatric unit for 2 weeks in Beaufort, South Carolina, before they put me into separation platoon. And you know what's ironic is that one time, during those 2 weeks, I read a book. And what's ironic about it is, in that one period where it felt like life was crashing down around me, I actually read a book. And that was the last time I've read a book. And it was like a 500-page book. I don't remember the author. I don't remember the context. I just know it was some sort of murder mystery.
So this is in the hospital?
This is in the hospital.
You just decided I'm going to read a 500-page book?
It was, I read a very long book.
It took you away?
It took me away. It took me away from reality. But even then, I remember my senior drill instructor came by to check on me. Whether it was genuine or not, I don't know. The nurse came in and said, so-and-so is here. I broke down. Major anxiety attack hit, and I said, I don't want to see him. Get him out of here, get him out of here, get him out of here. What happened there in that squad bay, it was traumatizing for me, at least. I'm like a fragile little butterfly who can't be stepped on, because then my wings will be shattered. And coming out of the hospital, before I got sent to separation platoon, my senior was sitting down with me. He said, "What are you going to tell the psychiatrist here on base?" And XYZ. He said, "That didn't happen." I said, but no, none of that happened. And I think, in hindsight, that's him saying, you better not tell him that, because that's going to get me in trouble. But then I was kind of just like racing back through my memories. I'm like, am I actually crazy? Am I losing my mind right now?
That did happen, right.
And that broke me down a little bit more.
So was he not supposed to take you to the hospital?
This is on base, so it's not necessarily a hospital. Okay. It was more or less a evaluation.
Okay.
Before getting discharged, and then being shipped over to a separation platoon, where I was for about 2 weeks before they sent me to the airport and sent me back home.
So you was discharged?
Yeah, I was discharged. I was issued a recruit level separation. So it's not honorable, it's not general, it's not dishonorable, it's just separation during recruit level. So no impact on
anything
on anything for me, except I probably can't get a job as a police officer, which is okay. It's okay. I don't need to follow my dad's footsteps anymore.
I never asked you this question. So you said when you came out of the hospital, you had 2 hospitalizations, and you're getting therapy. At any point, were you on medication?
Yeah, I was. I've been on antidepressants and anxiety medications.
But what did they think they were? So for you, I know you said the anxiety and the depression, and just the not feeling like a male. How do they diagnose that?
At the time when things were a little different, I was diagnosed with gender identity disorder. I think that's what they call it.